So before I get started, I want to apologize. You guys, I haven't been bringing you videos as much as I should, and a lot of that is, due to different things that's going on in my life. Not anything bad or scary or negative. Just I just been busy, but I'm gonna try to be more on top of it from now on. That being said, if you like the content, please subscribe, turn on post notifications, follow us on Instagram. Links in the bio at the Citizen Movement. So we got to get into this Robinhood discussion, okay? So everyone knows what happened. Stockbrokers basically were shorting GameStop stocks, betting on them to fail. And Reddit users decided to beat the stock investors, these billionaire hedge fund companies, at their own game. And when they started getting beat, they played dirty to get back. Now, for those of you who don't know, the stock for GameStop, GameStop, the gaming company who sells, games for different systems and everything gamer, they had not been doing so well on the market. So basically, a bunch of investors shorted GameStop's stock. Now, if you don't know what shorting a stock means, it basically means that you're betting on the stock to fail and that you can profit off of the stock failing. And it also means that you keep that stock from receiving any future investments from other hedge funds. Because if you're betting on it to fail, everyone's going to look at it and say, hey, well, if they're betting on this to fail, it's probably going to fail. So why would I invest money in something that's failing? Yeah, it's really a way to kind of screw a company out of business in all actuality. So what Reddit users did is they said, hey, they're betting on this stock to fail. Why don't we like GameStop. Why don't we just buy a bunch of GameStop stock? Oh, God, that's going to be terrible to say for the rest of this time. Why don't we just buy a bunch of GameStop stock? I'm going to stop. Why don't we buy the stocks from GameStop? And they bought a lot of them because I believe they were like $27 or something. So these Reddit users bought a lot of stock in GameStop. I mean, a lot. I mean, so much that at the time of this recording, the stock price was up to like $400 from $27 overnight, like within a couple of days. So the company made billions of dollars. Everything's great. But not for those hedge funds who betted against them. So the hedge funds who betted against GameStop lost a ton of money. They lost a lot of money. And basically, as soon as they started losing money and they're about to go bankrupt, the hedge fund says, hey, we're losing all our money. So Robinhood, which coincidentally is invested in by one of the hedge funds that's losing all this money and that recently went bankrupt, says, okay, we're going to stop people from buying GameStop stock on our platform. We're going to stop them from investing in GameStop. Now, you can sell your stock, but you cannot buy more. So what does that sound like? It sounds pretty dirty, man, because basically these companies, this is what they do. They bet on these markets to fail, and then, so they can make money. And now that they're not making money, they're losing the game. Now they want to rig the game, right? That's what it seems like. It seems very suspicious that Robinhood, who's owned by basically one of these investment firms, decides to start taking off the GameStop stock and other investments as well off of their platform. Now, this is infuriating because it just shows how the top 1% just manipulates everything so that they can continue to win even when they lose. But what surprised me about the situation is that the CEO of Robinhood actually went on CNN, and Chris Cuomo, of all people, actually did some really solid reporting. And just did some really, really good journalism. So let's take a look at that clip, and then we'll talk about this more.
I want you to address the obvious. This looks like a move by an outfit called Robinhood, which is supposed to be taken from the rich and given to the poor, and doing exactly the opposite. that when the big guys, including one of your main investors in your company, started to lose, you shut down the game to starve the little guy. Fair criticism.
That's not what it is at all. And I know you started this segment. It really resonated with me because you described the story of Robinhood. Robinhood started 5 years ago by pioneering commission-free, no-account minimum mobile investing. And we've been the spokesperson of the individual investor. And our whole goal as an institution is to enable those customers, empower them, and give them access to the markets. Because for the longest time, markets have been only accessible to the wealthy. And so the entire industry adopted our business model in 2019. And in 2020, we added millions of new customers. The entire industry added millions of new customers who took advantage of the market rally and became investors for the very first time. So, we had to make a very difficult decision to protect our customers and our firm.
Why?
But we in no way.
Why? Explain why you had to do it if it wasn't to protect the guys who had shorted the stocks, which are the big hedge funds. How are you helping the little guy investors?
Well, I know that there's rumors around that, we were directed by market makers or other market participants to do this. And I want to be 100% clear. This decision was not made on the direction of any market maker or other market participants.
So why'd you do it?
Decision. Robinhood, as a brokerage, has lots of financial requirements. SEC requirements. We have to put up money at clearinghouses. The amount of money that we have to put up depends on market volatility, and we're in a historic situation where there's a lot of activity and a lot of buying concentrated in a relatively small number of symbols that are going viral on social media. So we haven't really seen anything like this before, and to prudently manage the risk and the deposit requirements, we had to restrict buying in these 13 stocks. But customers that held them could sell throughout. Thousands of other securities and stocks on our platform were available to freely trade. And our number one priority, as you mentioned, is to make sure our platform is reliable, stable for our customers. We're serving our customers and giving them the tools.
But that's exactly what's
in
question now.
We're doing everything in our power to turn it back on as soon as prudent.
But that's the thing, is that the trust is in question because it seems like the only people who are getting hurt were the big shots. And that if they were benefiting from this, your small investors now believe that you wouldn't have shut down the game. And just one thing without getting in the weeds here. You don't control the listing venue for GameStop. Now, I used to work in finance, so I know this stuff, but the audience doesn't need to. The New York Stock Exchange does. So if anybody was going to control the listing and shut it down, it should have been them, but it wasn't. It was you. And the reason that they do it is very limited. They do it because they think there's evidence of fraud, or they think that there needs to be a material disclosure by the company that hasn't been made. And that's done to protect the investor. You check none of those boxes here because you don't control the venue. You didn't know about any information that GameStop or any of these other stocks needed to put out. You don't have any reason to believe there's fraud that you've articulated. And you're certainly not protecting these people who've been living the dream of making money, especially at the expense of the big guys. So why should people believe you did this for the right reasons?
Well, we have no choice. We have to comply with all financial requirements and
the SEC
regulations.
hasn't said you had to do this.
Well, lots of brokers have to comply with these financial requirements and have issued restrictions on some of these names. And this is an industry-wide thing. You yourself mentioned that other brokers this week have imposed restrictions. And not speaking for other firms, but for Robinhood in particular, this isn't because there's deals happening with market makers we route to or market participants.
But then why did you allow people to keep selling but not buying? The reason that is so troubling to people is that they were making money buying the stock because they were against the short side. And so by enabling them to sell but not buy, it sounds like you were allowing the hedge funds, and again, one of them owns a piece of you, and they had a big short position, and that looks like a stinky conflict that you didn't come out straight on from the start.
Damn. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is great. So the CEO guy is avoiding all the questions throughout the entire interview. And Chris Cuomo, he comes with some facts. He says, this company invested in you and owned you, and they just lost money. They just went bankrupt. And all of a sudden, you're not allowing people to buy this stock. Why is that? And he says, oh, we were complying with regulations and stuff. And he said, but what regulations are you talking about? And he said, oh, well, we had to take them down to protect our clients' interests. And he said, okay, but which clients? The poor ones who were buying the stock or the rich ones? And then he even goes into more detail and says that the New York Stock Exchange, if there's fraud or if there's a need for a company to be audited, they will halt the trading of the stocks. But they did not. So why would Robinhood take the stocks off of their platforms? And of course, we all know the answer. The answer is because they're corrupt. Because they don't want their billionaire buddies who are giving them funding for their company to lose money. So they're going to do whatever they can to keep them from losing money. Now, of course, he can't come out and say it, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Don't want your billionaire buddies to lose money. And this is stock. It's funny because they're like, now I've seen a lot of people argue, oh, well, these Reddit users are buying into companies that really aren't valuable and skyrocketing their stock. So they're manipulating the market. Yeah, they're manipulating the market, but that's all investors do. All these investment companies do is they put their stocks on the market. They buy their own stocks, which raises the price of their own stocks. And then they sell those stocks that they just bought from themselves at a higher price than what they would have been worth previously and make money. So all the market is manipulation. The market is constant manipulation. Even if you look right now, the government has been pumping liquidity into the markets every single day. Pumping liquidity into the airlines. So like if you looked at airline stock recently, airline stock has gone up a little bit. Not much because, people aren't flying. But it's going up a little bit and it should be going way, way down. It should be tanking. It should be like $5. It should be like $5 a share because no one's flying. But yet their stock is still at least remaining stable where it is right now or going up. A lot of big company stocks going up. Why? Because the government's pumping money into their markets and basically becoming their investors and giving them all these low or no interest loans that they'll never pay back in order to keep them profitable and successful on the stock market. So the government is participating right now in rigging the market, making it look good. If the government were to stop giving them money today, everything would come crashing down. Now, I'm not saying the government shouldn't give any money to the markets because when the markets crash, people lose their jobs, they get laid off. So, of course, we should do, I think pumping some liquidity into the market is reasonable. But, guys, it just goes to show you that all of this stuff is manipulated. But when people like us manipulate it, when working class, everyday Reddit users say, hey, let's buy this stock because we like it and it'll raise the price and we'll make money and the company will make money and we can support a company that we like. All of a sudden they're angry. Oh, you're cheating. You're rigging the game. No, this is the game. Okay, the game is to manipulate the market. And it just goes to show how corrupt our society has become with things like stock buybacks and market manipulation. A lot of companies, there are companies like Uber who aren't even profitable, but their stock prices are huge because they just keep getting a bunch of investments. So they're making money on the stock market despite the fact that their actual business is not profitable. So it's like, guys, this is clear corruption, open corruption. And when you listen to the Robinhood CEO guy talk, he can't give an explanation. Chris Cuomo comes with the facts. He comes with the information. He asks the right questions. He grills him. And the guy's got nothing to say. And I love when Chris says, they own a piece of you. And it's true. They own a piece of you. It's corrupt. They do. Now, I think what Chris would fail to realize and admit is that they also own a piece of him. And this goes back into what I was saying about the government being corrupt, because the government is also bought and owned by stock market investors and corporate media, which Chris Cuomo is a part of, being a commentator on CNN. They're bought and owned you too. They own everybody and they own everything. And so yes, there's corruption on all levels financially, in the private sector, in the media, but also in the government. And by the way, there is a rumor saying that the White House may have pressured Robinhood to take GameStop and the other 10 companies that they halted trading on their stocks on. It may have pressured them to take it off. Now, look, as far as I know, there's no evidence for this. This is like an anonymous source or something, so we don't know if this is true. But if it is true, it wouldn't be surprising, and it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, considering how the presidential office has manipulated stock markets and other private sector businesses before. Famously, former President Barack Obama called off the NBA strike, Black Lives Matter strike. So I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, it goes to show you the mass corruption in our country, the open corruption, and then 9 times out of 10, there's no accountability. Thankfully, Cuomo is keeping this guy accountable here, which is funny. I never thought I'd say Chris Cuomo was keeping anyone accountable for anything, but credit to whom credit is due. But yes, he's keeping this guy accountable, and the guy's got absolutely nothing to say. So, yeah, let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, like I said, we're on Instagram at the Citizen Movement. Just really trying to, bring you guys the real news, raw, unfiltered, like non-biased. Like, of course we all have our biases, but the difference between me and most media networks, I'm open with my bias up front. I tell you what my positions are. I don't hide them, but I try to approach everything from a common sense approach. And yep, it is what it is. But thank you guys so much for listening. You can like, subscribe, comment below. This is corrupt, man. This whole Robinhood thing is corrupt, man. This is quite a big scandal.